St. Augustine, the restless soul who found fire in truth. What do you do when nothing in life satisfies you? Not pleasure, not power, not brilliance, not applause. You chase everything, and yet the emptiness only grows. This was the life of Augustine of Hippo, a man who tasted every desire the world had to offer, and yet was haunted by a question he could not silence. Who will give me peace? This is not just the story of a saint, it is the story of the restless soul, searching, wandering, breaking, and finally being found. Early life, a restless prodigy. Augustine was born in the year 354 in North Africa, in the bustling town of Tagaste. From the beginning, his brilliance set him apart. He devoured books, mastered rhetoric, and by his 20s had risen as one of the most dazzling intellectuals of the Roman world. He was a gifted speaker, a celebrated teacher, and a man who seemed to have everything: prestige, reputation, and influence. Yet behind the applause was a hollow ache. Augustine sought happiness in fleeting loves, in philosophical movements, and in social honor. He fathered a child outside of marriage, attached his life to a woman he would never marry, and pledged his loyalty to the teachings of a controversial sect, Manichaeism. For nearly a decade he followed their doctrines, looking for answers but finding only more confusion. Through it all, one figure remained. His mother, Monica. She prayed. She wept. She pleaded with God to draw her son out of shadows and into the light. The turning point. A meeting in Milan. It was in Milan that Augustine's journey turned. There he encountered a bishop named Ambrose. But Ambrose was no ordinary bishop. He combined intellect with warmth, reason with compassion. He spoke with a power Augustine had never heard before. Augustine, the skeptical professor, began to listen. He debated, he wrestled, he argued with himself. Slowly the walls around his heart began to crack, and yet he felt chained. His old habits, his loves, his addictions, they pulled at him. He longed for freedom, but feared what it would cost. The garden and the voice. Then, one day, in a quiet garden, Augustine broke. Tears ran down his face as he felt torn in two, between the life he had built and the freedom he longed for. And then it happened, a voice gentle, childlike, clear.
Take and read, take and read.
He picked up a Bible, opened it at random, and read these words: "Let us live honorably, not in indulgence. Put on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for the flesh." In that moment, it was as though lightning struck his soul. The battle within him ended. Augustine surrendered. A new life begins. At the age of 33, he was baptized. He left behind the world he once lived for, his career, his status, his old loves. He returned to North Africa, and there he became first a priest and then a bishop. The restless youth who once searched for truth in every corner of the world now proclaimed the truth with fire. His words carried weight because they were not abstract theories. They were lived. They were carved out of struggle. He wrote works that still echo through history: Confessions, the raw account of his heart's journey, and The City of God, a masterpiece that shaped Western thought for centuries, lessons for today. But Augustine's story is not locked in the past. It speaks to us today, now, in our restless world. He reminds us, pleasure without purpose leaves the heart empty. Intellect alone cannot save the soul. Sin promises freedom, but enslaves. Grace is not earned. It invades, unexpected, unasked for. And above all, your past does not disqualify you. In fact, it may become the very fuel of your mission. Final years, a bishop's farewell. In 430, as the Roman Empire shook and North Africa faced invasion, Augustine lay dying. Psalms were pinned to the walls around his bed. His final words were prayers whispered into eternity. He had once been a rebel. He died a bishop, a doctor of the church, a man who had wrestled with every temptation and had finally found peace, the timeless truth. St. Augustine's life tells us one thing: no one is too far, no past is too heavy, no heart is too restless to be embraced by grace. He searched, he wandered, he fell, and then he was found. St. Augustine, the restless genius, the doctor of grace, a man whose heart caught fire and never went out. If this story stirred something in you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe for more stories of faith, history, and transformation. And tell us in the comments, what part of Augustine's journey speaks to your soul?